we can.
Yes, thank you for reminding me. I'm very laid back when it comes to remember. Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you very much.
We
Yes.
have a dear sister, my assistant, our assistant. Thank you, Rita, for that. Yes,
Yes.
you're recording.
Thank you. Thank you. So yes, I have presented this many times. So I was in a way ready, but in the past, whenever I presented, it has been usually 2 to 3 hours presentation, almost like a workshop, and sometimes even a weekend workshop. And so the biggest challenge that I'll have today is to condense all of it in 1 hour. There is so much information regarding this. It is a big topic in itself, but let's see. Let me fire up the PowerPoint that I have for all of you, and then we'll take it from there. So death, dying, and moving on. I'll try to bring about a kind of harmony between, like Sister Devki was talking about, the two sciences, the medical sciences and spirituality as well. So fear of death, it is very interesting that many years back when I started my medical school and I was seeing these patients in the hospital, that was a government hospital back in India where we didn't have too many medicines. Sometimes there would be lack of blood. Some of these patients would come very late and we would see a lot of death in general. It's interesting also that there was a mortuary not too far from the hostel that we used to live in. And so it was between the hospital and the boys' hostel. And every time we would be going from the hospital, the medical school, towards the hostel, we would pass the mortuary where I would invariably see, dead bodies being brought there. And that there was also a forensic department where postmortems used to happen. And whenever I would see a dead body being brought there, somewhere, I'm not sure how or when it happened, but I ended up developing an intense, almost a pathological fear of death. And every time I would see a dead body being brought, I would see myself or one of my family members there. And I just couldn't handle it. And I said, how do I go about this? Because I used to have sleepless nights. Many times I would not be able to enjoy my meals. I wouldn't even be able to eat many times, honestly. And I said that I have to somehow figure this out. And around that time, I happened to come to or visit a Brahma Kumari center. And that's where I learned the Raj Yoga meditation. And that changed my life completely. So um, for those of you who are new to the Brahma Kumaris, who are new to the teachings of Brahma Kumaris, I sincerely invite you to visit a Brahma Kumari center near to you. And if you are in the Caribbean, Sister Devki can guide you how and where to go. If you are in other places, you can just Google a Brahma Kumari center near to you. Go there, learn Raj Yoga meditation, which is a free course. And if you already have done the course and you are listening to or you're getting involved with the Brahma Kumaris in a marginal way, I would invite you to actually go deep into the knowledge, the wisdom of the Brahma Kumaris, because it's so profound that over the past 23 years, I feel as if I have learned so much that in a way, I have been able to conquer the fear of death. And I hope and I wish the same for you. So conquering the fear of death is actually conquering death. If I can free myself from the fear of death in a way, then death won't happen to me. And I'll explain this in a little bit. And this is what Brahma Kumari's wisdom teaches us. So before we go on to the actual presentation, I'll go a little bit fast, but I am going to invite all of you to ponder upon a few questions which I'll pose for you. I won't pause so that, but as you're listening to the questions, think quickly in your mind. On a scale of 0 to 10, I ask you, how or where would you rate your fear, with 0 being no fear and 10 being the maximum fear ever? How would you rate your current level of fear of death? And what do you fear most about death? Do you want to sort out your fear of death? And why? Yeah, sometimes what happens is what was happening for me really was I would want to just push this whole fear of death under the rug many times. It was so difficult for me to even think about death that I did not want to even approach it in my mind, forget about being ready for the actual death if it happens for me and my loved ones, which is inevitable anyways, right? So I did not want to even think about it. Is that what is going on for you too? So there are actually many different types of fears of death, which I have thought about from my point of view, and it is very possible that you have a different type of fear of death, but at least let me enumerate these different types of fears, and then we will go from there. So the first is fear of the pain or suffering during the actual process of our death or the death of our loved ones. That is one very major fear for most people. Fear of the pain or suffering during the actual process of our loved ones and our death. So the second type of fear of death is the fear of the uncertainty of what lies after death. Then there's the fear of leaving our loved ones behind and the concern for their well-being. The next type of fear is the fear of loneliness for us. That is, what will happen to me when fear of loneliness. Yeah. So what will happen to me when my loved ones die? You see, what will happen to my loved ones when I die, when I leave them behind, or what will happen to me when my loved ones die? Fear of not achieving anything substantial before dying. And then what we saw during COVID times, there were many people who were dying alone. And so many times people have the fear of dying alone. I too have had actually all these types of fears. And I hope that my presentation today will help you allay some of the anxieties regarding all of these fears. All of these fears will hopefully go away for each of you, just as it did over years for me through the practice of Raj Yoga. So the first thing I want to share is that from a medical point of view, that death is never painful. I have had the privilege of seeing many, many patients dying in front of me, in my hands. Apart from being a cardiac anesthesiologist, and in cardiac anesthesia, if you understand, some of you probably understand what that means, is that taking care of the anesthetic, delivery, or taking care of the anesthesia portion of patients when they're getting heart surgeries or lung surgeries. These are major, major surgeries where patients many times are, really sick, half dead. And so many times we have patients die on the operating table. Many times they don't leave the operation room. And that is a big thing. But also I used to cover the intensive care unit for many years. And I would see many of these patients die in the post-operative period. So I have really seen a lot of people die. I've also seen people who were criminals, who were serial killers, murderers, real bad people, quote unquote bad people, die in front of me, because we were taking care of the patients from a major prison, the state prison. And so we would have patients come from there too, prisoners come from there, and I used to take care of them as well. So what I realized is that life before death can be painful, but death itself is never painful. Death actually releases the person from all pain. So if we really need to fear something, then we should fear life, not death. Death, again, I repeat, is never painful. And I've seen all of these people up till now, they all die peacefully. So think of it, if a murderer, a serial killer, the worst criminals dying peacefully why wouldn't you and me die peacefully too? Why do you think that you will die in pain? You could live in pain. Yes, I understand that. But you will never die in pain. I have realized this. I've seen this over and over and over again. So hopefully the first fear, I've been able to get rid of that for all of you. Let's move forward. More questions to ponder. If I tell you, or if someone tells you that you will never die, that you have a chance to live forever, are you okay with that? That, see, normally we say the life expectancy is 60, 70 years of age. It has gone up over years, especially in the developed countries. But what if I say you're going to live just the way in this body, if you will, for the next 2000 years? Are you okay with that? No, right? Even if you say, all right, I'm not going to age, you're not going to age. You will continue to have your teeth, you will continue to have your vision, your bones won't stop, your joints won't stop working, and your bones will be strong enough, and so on and so forth. Are you still okay with that? If I ask you then, or if I tell you that along with you, everyone around you, your family members, your loved ones, your spouse, your children, your parents will also live forever for the next 2000 years. Are you okay with that? Just the way you are? Probably not, right? See, what I'm realizing is that death actually is a wonderful thing. It provides us with a unique opportunity to be reborn again. When we die, when somebody dies, then all of the past, all of the things that have happened are forgotten. It creates amnesia. And because of amnesia, there is newness. Every time a person dies and he's reborn, there is an opportunity for the person to see the world again through a fresh set of eyes, to be able to learn new things. The curiosity, the joy of learning new things is such a beautiful experience. If you live forever, you will know everything and there will be nothing to learn. See, when we are reborn, then we have new relatives, we have new loved ones. So we get an opportunity to meet and be with new people. So that's something that we will lose if we were told that we are to live forever. So living forever is actually a curse. To die is actually a blessing. You know, if you go into Christianity, the scriptures of Christianity, somewhere in Europe, there is this amazing painting, which is called as Danse Macabre. I hope I am pronouncing it right. Pardon me if I'm not, which means the dance of death. And in that painting, you will see, skeletons here. And then you'll see a disabled person, a rich nobleman, a poor man, a common man, and so on and so forth. It's a big painting. What that really means is that every one of us is going to die. You see, you look at some of the ancient mystics' writings, and this is a saint from India who has written this very beautiful verse, which is in Hindi, the translation of which is that no matter who is born on this planet will always die, will always leave this planet. आए हैं तो जाना है, आए हैं तो जाएंगे. Whoever has entered will always exit. Now there are two ways of exit. One is to exit in graciously, with respect, as if sitting on a throne, and the other is to exit in a way bound by chains. Ek singhasan chadi chale, ek bandhe janjeer. So the choice of how we exit is ours. Either we leave this planet, leave this world in a happy state, graciously, or in a unhappy state, almost like a force. But everyone has to leave or exit this world. We are all born to die, whether we are kings, beggars, or holy men. Our deeds decide whether we leave this world sitting atop a throne or be dragged away by chains. So this brings us to the art of dying, which in Christianity they say is the ars moriendi, the art of dying, the art of leaving this world, exiting this world. And what I'm beginning to realize through Raj Yoga meditation is the art of dying is really the art of living. So if I want to die happily, I have to live happily. If I live a happy life, I automatically will die happily. On the other hand, if I live a miserable life, I will die miserably. If I live happily, I will die happily. 1 second. There's this WhatsApp which is going on. So if I live a miserable life, I will die a miserable death. All right. So now let's go into what Raj Yoga really helps us understand, the body-soul paradigm, that who are we really? Who am I? Who are you? Are you the form that you see in the mirror every day? Or if a picture has been taken of you, are you this physical form, or are you more than that? See, we say human being, so there is a human component and there's a being component. The human component, the human word comes from the word humus, which means soil. That the body has come from the soil, will go back to the soil, but there's a being component. The being component is the soul, the life force, the energy. And see, even through, if you look from the point of view of quantum physics, we have realized that everything physical at the core of it is just energy, quantum field. So what you are is not really the physical form, but at the core of all of this is energy. You are energy, I am energy. You are life that is manifesting through you. You are the energy of the universe manifesting through you. That's who you are. And energy is indestructible. Energy can never be destroyed. So each one of us is an immortal, eternal, imperishable, indestructible energy, life force. So we can never die, actually. You and I can never die. So in a way, it's important to understand that death is the ultimate truth, because this body is never going to last forever. This body is going to die. However, it is still the ultimate lie, because we are not bodies. We are souls. We are, again, life forces. We are energies. That's indestructible, immortal, never to die. So we can never die. That death becomes the ultimate lie. So far, so good. Let's go forward. So there are two levels of death, really. One is the physical death, right? This is the mortal coil. The body is the mortal coil. The soul enters into the body, and then the soul leaves the body. So there's this physical death. But actually, again, the physical death is never painful. What really is painful is the death of the ego. You see, when we are leaving this body, there is this feeling for the soul that I have done so much to create so much. I have worked hard all my life to earn so much of money. I've bought so many things. I've created, luxuries for myself. I've created a family. All of it is going to end with the death. Because as the soul leaves the body, everything that was attached to the body remains with the body, doesn't go with the soul. So somewhere subconsciously, the soul understands, or we understand, that all that is going to be left behind. And the pain of leaving behind that is profound. So if we can somehow consciously free ourselves of the attachment to all that we have created, and that's what Raj Yoga teaches us through this beautiful, beautiful understanding of dying alive. Dying alive means that while I'm living, I free myself of the ego of all that I've created. And in a way, you think of it, what belongs to you anyways? What did you create anyways? In a way, we are all guests. We are all travelers. We have come onto this world. We have come into this body as guests, as travelers. The soul enters one body, leaves it, goes to the next body, leaves that, goes to the third. The soul is the guest. The soul is the traveler. Now you go back to this, what I was saying just a moment back. What did we create anyways? What did you create? What have you created? See this body. Did the soul create this body? Did you create this body? Yeah. No. These eyes, the nose, the ears, the lungs, the liver, the kidney. This body is an extremely complex machinery. Did we create that? No. If you look at, say, the house, this house you built, say, let's say somebody says, oh, I built this house. What did we create in this house, really? Somebody else made the wood. Wood was anyways there, from the trees. It was used to create the infrastructure of this house. The carpet somebody else created. Yeah, the furniture somebody else created. We only bought it. But even the currency, the dollars or whatever different currency that you have in your country, did you create that? No, we really don't create anything. We have this false sense of understanding that we are creating things, and therefore the fear of losing things. But if we understand that nothing was created by us, there is no fear of losing anything. Nothing belonged to us, so we cannot lose anything. This is a very beautiful understanding that you get through the practice of the Brahma Kumari's meditation, that we are truly guests in this world, guests in this body, travelers in this world, travelers through this body. Let's go forward. The enigma of time. See, up till now, the West had always thought that time is linear. So there is birth, there is life, and then death. It seems as if it goes in one direction. Now, the problem with that is that people think that this is the only lifetime for us to do everything that we have to do. So they try to, jam more things into it, cram more things in it. It's almost like then you end up creating a hustle culture. Work hard, play hard, enjoy more, go more vacations, buy more things. But actually, the beauty of life is that time is cyclical. You see, after every second, a new second comes. After every minute, a new minute comes. After every hour, new hour. After every day, a new day. After every week, a new week. After every month, a new month, and so on and so forth. So whatever you couldn't achieve in 1 minute, You can always do that in the next minute, right? Because the new minute will start. What you couldn't achieve in 1 hour, you can always do it in the next hour. What you couldn't achieve in 1 day, you can do it in the next day, the next week, the next month, the next year, right? There are so many goals that you set in 2022. You probably were not able to achieve those. So now you are setting those for, or holding them in your consciousness for 2023, right? I'm sure there'll be some things that you will not be able to achieve in 2023, but you'll be okay with that because you'll say that I can do that in 2024. So similarly, after every lifetime, there is a new lifetime. You see? So this is the linear concept, but actually life is cyclical. And why is life cyclical? Because actually everything in the whole universe is cyclical. So you see seasons, you see day, night, everything is cyclical. So just like that, life too is cyclical. After death, there is life again, a new life. So just as I'm okay with me not achieving anything in a particular day, week, month, or year, and saying that I can do that in the next month, week, month, year, and so on and so forth, I can also have that understanding that if I can't achieve something in this lifetime, I can achieve it in the next lifetime. You see, the fear goes away. But now let's understand a little bit about the mystery that is the body. Do you know that we have 40 trillion cells in our body? Almost 40 trillion cells. It's a big number. Yeah, 1,000 is 1 million, 1,000 million is 1 billion, 1,000 billion is 1 trillion. So we have 40 trillion cells in our body, out of which 300 million cells die every minute. If you do the math, that there are 60 minutes in an hour, you multiply that by 24, yeah, and you do the math. So in a way, 432 billion cells die every day. And then if you continue with that, that is roughly 2.6% of your body is replaced every day. So the old cells die, new cells are generated. And what that means really is that our entire body gets replaced every 40 days. Think of it for a moment. Think of it. Every 40 days, you have a new body anyways. The body that you have right now is going to completely change into a new body every 40 days anyways. And in fact, think of it, if so many cells are going to change every day is a new body. But also think of it, we get exposed to so many different experiences during the day. We learn so much. They say that every minute we are bombarded by something like 40 billion bits of information. So there's a lot of information coming to us every moment, and that's changing our very understanding of life itself. And there's a very famous philosopher, a Greek philosopher, Heraclitus, who said, you cannot step into the same river twice. What does that mean? You cannot step into the same river twice. And what he meant by that is that no man ever steps in the same river twice, for it is not the same river, and he's not the same man. You see, everything around us is changing. The world is changing at an extremely fast pace. Your body is changing. You are changing. So every moment, really, if you understand that you are dying, and every moment you are being reborn as a new person anyways. And if you think of it deeply, this is what I try to do, is that every night when I'm going to bed, I see this as a deathbed, as if I'm going to die tonight. And tomorrow morning, when I wake up, the next day morning, I see that as the birthing table. I'm being reborn again as a new person. This is the very understanding of dying alive of the Brahma Kumaris, the concept of Brahma Kumaris of dying alive. That is, every day seeing myself being reborn and the old self dying. Because you see, we hold on to so much of the past. Somebody said something, something happened, we brood over it. We are sometimes very harsh on others. We are sometimes so unforgiving to ourselves. Why did this happen to me? Why did I do this? But if I understand the past is dead, all the experiences of the past are dead. I am being born again today, every day, every moment. Now let's learn a little bit about the law of karma. Law of karma teaches us that as you sow, so shall you reap. Whatever goes around comes around. So if I want my death to be good, I have to live a good life. But what does living a good life mean? That when I do good to others, I receive good. When I give happiness to others, I will receive happiness. If I give sorrow to others, I'll receive sorrow. And so if I live a happy life, I will die happily. If I live a sad life, I will die with sadness. So if I want to die happily, I have to be good, do good. It's an interconnected universe. I cannot be happy in an isolated way. I cannot say that let me be happy. Who cares about the rest of the universe? We have now understood it completely, very beautifully, that the whole of the universe is almost like a giant jello. You touch any part of the jello, you have jello, right? You touch any part of it, the entire jello moves. This is how the entire universe is. Any small change anywhere in the universe affects the entire universe. So if people around me are unhappy, I cannot be happy. So in a way, it is incumbent upon us to make sure that people around us are happy. And every time I say this, somebody would always say, but what if I'm doing the best I can and people are not becoming happy? It's okay. All we have to do is to generate happiness within ourselves and give people happiness. Allow the happiness that we are generating within ourselves to flow into others, help them so that they can be happy. And when they are happy, I will become happy, I will live happily, and then I'll die happily. Are we good on time, Sister Devki? Do we have enough time right now? 7, we are, right?
You are doing excellent, and the Caribbean is very laid back. So
Okay.
rest assured, you don't need to rush.
All right, all right. Because there's a lot, and so I'm going
That's
just a
fine.
little bit faster. But now
That's
let's understand another very important thing that I learned through the Brahma Kumari's teachings: to trust the universe, trust God, trust the higher forces. There is an intelligence, there is a force much bigger than us, much more profound than us. There's an intelligence that knows exactly what needs to happen, what needs to be done. You see, think of it, the sun every day in the morning comes up and then goes down again at the end of the day. We never have any role in that, do we? Do you ever remember yourself going and taking the sun and bringing it up into the sky and then making it set? No. Automatically, the water of the oceans gets evaporated by the sun, and then clouds get created. Automatically, these clouds move from one zone to the other. They crash into these mountains and rain happens. The rain then creates these rivers, and these rivers then sustain life as they flow. And eventually these rivers then go back to the ocean, and again evaporation happens. So much of everything around us is happening without us doing anything really. In a way, to understand, we are at mercy of the entire universe, the forces of the universe. Trees grow automatically. They flower automatically. The seasons change automatically. Suddenly there is spring, suddenly there is summer, suddenly the fall happens, and suddenly there's winter. Suddenly everything happens around us. We have really no control. And I love this, and relax. Nothing is under control. Somebody sent this a little while back, and I really enjoyed it. I put it here, relax. Nothing is under our control. So we have to trust the processes of the universe. We have to trust the energy of the universe. We have to trust the intelligence of the universe. The same forces that have taken care of us so far, yeah, why would they not take care of us tomorrow, day after tomorrow, next month, next year, or through the end of our lives? And the same forces which have taken care of all our loved ones, why would they not take care of them today, tomorrow, the day after, next month, next year, or till the end of their lives? Before I met or I came in contact with my relatives, my friends, they were still existing, right? Say you meet your spouse, right? Somebody gets married to someone. Before that person knows that other person and marries that person was existing without anything to do with the person, So there were some forces that were taking care of that person before this man meets the woman or the woman meets the man. These forces were taking care of that other person anyways. So if those forces were taking care of that person before they meet each other, why would they not take care of the other person after they're together or after one of them leaves? Right? If you remember in the beginning, I had shared the different types of fear of death, the fear that what will happen to me when my loved ones die, or what will happen to them when I die. I will be taken care of just like I have been taken care of till now, and they will be taken care of just as they have been taken care of up till now. Right. And here we don't have to go too much into this. This isn't enough time for this, but really, if you go into quantum physics, there's a concept called as Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. The interesting thing is that at the core of all of existence, there is total uncertainty. We always feel that there should be, certainty in everything that we're doing. That's our ego speaking. But at the core of everything, there is total uncertainty. But that's where the joy is. Where there is uncertainty, there are possibilities. And what that means is that I can then create. In a way, I have infinite possibilities in front of me, and I can create whatever I wish to do with these possibilities. I can create the life I want by changing the way I look at life and the whole of universe. Now I'll switch gears a little bit and go into near-death experiences. We have now a whole body of evidence from a lot of research that has happened in the past 30, 40 years. There are many different researchers working on this, but the most famous of whom is this Pim van Lommel, a Dutch cardiologist. Lot of different experiences have been shared by people across the world. They say it is 25 million people around the world have had a near-death experience. Now, we have learned so much, and I can't go into each one of these, but what across the board, people who have had a near-death experience have shared that death actually is a very beautiful experience. So these people who went to the edge of life and death, who in a way died and then came back. So say, for example, one person said, when they were going through this death experience, they said the pinnacle of everything there is, of energy, of love, especially of warmth, of beauty. And someone else said, it seemed as if time and distance didn't exist. I was everywhere at once, and sometimes my attention was focused on something, and I was there too. I asked if God was the light, and the answer was, no, God is not the light. The light is what happens when God breathes, somebody else said. And somebody then said, I think death is a really nasty, bad lie. And on return, a single loving thought would let me be part of the whole again. And these are some people who shared their experiences. If you look at this book, if you read this book by John Burke, Imagine Heaven, he describes that I went through, one second, let me move this away. I went through this dark black vacuum at super speed. You could compare it to a tunnel. I saw a bright light, and on the way there, I heard beautiful music, and I saw colors I'd never seen before. The light was of a kind that I had never seen before, and that differs from any other kind, such as sunlight. It was white and extremely bright, and yet you could see easily through it. And again, this is where, in this book, he had written, it's the pinnacle of everything there is. So after death, there were so many beautiful experiences that people have had. And when they came back, actually, so they described this, and there is this neurosurgeon who had such an experience. I was encountering the reality of a world of consciousness that existed completely free of the limitations of my physical brain. My experience showed me that the death of the body and the brain are not the end of consciousness. So clearly, the soul never dies, but actually, the process of dying, or as the soul leaves the body, there are such amazingly beautiful experiences for the soul. Now we know it for sure. Not a single person has come back and has shared that his near-death experience has been a painful one. Not a single experience has been of a painful one. 25 million near-death experiences. Not a single one painful. And there was another example of Anita Moorjani, and she has written this book, Dying to Be Me, and the amazing experiences she had. She had lymphoma, and when she had that near-death experience, she felt as if she's part of the whole, a greater consciousness, felt her consciousness to be ever expanding, and somehow she came back, and miraculously, all of her lymphoma went away. And she has become one of a known speakers. She goes around the world talking about this, giving TED Talks and so on and so forth. So you see, death actually is a very healing experience. Death can be a very healing experience, and it is for sure a very healing experience. It wasn't even real death for them. It was just a near-death experience, which made them such wonderful people. Actually, they found, it was seen that, so there are some commonalities of this, that people, all of these people had crystal clear consciousness. They had a realistic out-of-body experience. All of them describe a feeling of overwhelming love and peace, tremendous ecstasy, and meeting spiritual beings. And what they all found at the end, that when they came back, they describe of a panoramic life review, they found a connection with God and unlimited knowledge. They were shown the future. They said that there's some sort of tunnel, and at the end of the tunnel there is life. But most importantly, what has been seen across the board is all of them, when they came back, there was a reduction in the fear of death. There was a focus on here and now rather than preoccupation with death, which most of humanity is right now preoccupied with. There was this feeling of invulnerability. There was this strong belief in continued existence. there was a significant shift in each one of them towards spirituality. They found that each of these people had some change in their values, priorities, but change towards love and caring for others. Rather than being egocentric, all of them or maximum of them change to being very loving and kind people. A tendency to love unconditionally and increased empathy, decreased interest in status symbols and materialistic lifetimes. So in a way, when they did not even die, just that near-death experience, not even true death, made them into much better human beings. So when real death happens, then we will become so much better, actually. So there is no question of death being a painful thing, death being a bad thing. Death only makes us better. And that's what, if you go back to what Raj Yoga teaches us, Brahma Kumari's meditation, Brahma Kumari's body of knowledge teaches us to die alive. So if every day I see myself as dead, yeah, dying tonight and getting reborn tomorrow, what would happen eventually is that I will become a better person. I will become less egocentric, and I will be loving and caring towards others. And from a medical perspective, you see what we are realizing, that death is the culmination of pain. And I was sharing that earlier, right? That death really is the culmination of pain. So death is never painful. Life can be painful, but death can never be painful. So another aspect of this is helping our loved ones transition. What I've realized is that only when we have truly understood the meaning of life and death can we help our loved ones as they transition. If we are stuck in the fear of death, that's the energy we'll transmit to others around us. So our fear will get transmitted into others, but our freedom from fear will help others free themselves of their fear of death. So if I have to transition, others have to transition too. If I can work my way through the fear of death, I conquer my fear of death. That is, I'm conquering death. I enable others to conquer their fear of death and therefore help them conquer death as well. Now, I'll take a little bit of time to share some end-of-life experiences. So I shared near-death experiences when people go into that near-death kind of situation, close to death, and come back. But now I'll share with you, there's a whole lot of study that is happening on people who are in hospice care or palliative care when, they are about to die in the next 2-3 months, say they have a diagnosis of cancer or something, and they know that, or the surgeons, the doctors know that none of the medicines are working, the chemotherapy, the radiation therapy is not working, and the person eventually will transition. So what has been seen invariably, and in fact, you see, there are different types of deaths. We don't have to go too much into this for now, but death can happen within seconds to hours, hours to days, days to months, and over years. There is death that you can be aware of, and that you are not aware of. And if I ask people, what kind of death would you want? I invariably get the answer that I would like to die quickly. I don't want to be aware of death. But again, if you see, death is not bad. Death is not painful. Every one of those people who have shared their near-death experience have described death to be a beautiful experience. So why are we so scared of it? And why do we want to die without being aware of it? Why do we want to die suddenly? Rather than, die slowly? What's the big deal? So we have to understand this. And so what has been seen, that when people come to know of a diagnosis that is not amenable to cure, that is invariably going to take them to death, invariably has been seen that the person becomes a better person. They become sweeter, nicer, kinder, softer. They become people who are not concerned about material possessions, for example, attachment to things, or they it has been seen that they are able to let go of things more, are easier. So just the understanding that life cannot go on forever, and the reality of death showing up onto our faces right in front of us helps us become better people. Now, do we need a diagnosis for us to become better persons, better people? Or can we remind ourselves that death is inevitable, that this body is the mortal coil, that we, the souls, have to leave this body at some point? If we remind ourselves of this truth again and again, then what would happen is eventually it will help us become better people. And there is a very important concept in the world too that we have heard of. I'm sure you've heard of samadhi. What does samadhi really mean? That, there are saints in the past that you, I'm sure, have heard of, that they leave their bodies voluntarily, that they know that they have done all that they were destined to do. They lived meaningfully, they served meaningfully, and now they're ready to leave the body. The biggest problem with all of us, all of current level of humanity, is that we don't live meaningfully. We don't live every moment of our lives fully and completely. We are constantly either in the past or in the future. We are never in this moment, the beautiful moment, which is called as present. So it's a gift. If we are constantly in the present moment, we will be able to reap the beauty, enjoy the beauty of the moment, to be able to take the amazing things that this moment has to offer to us. We'll be able to do the maximum. We'll be able to serve people, and therefore we'll have a very fulfilling experience to life. And so when we are destined to leave, we will leave happily. In fact, we can then leave voluntarily, that we have done all that we needed to do. We have accomplished all that had to be accomplished, and so now we can go. You see, you remember there was one of the fears that I had talked about in the beginning, that many people think that I haven't achieved enough. How can I die right now? I don't want to die yet. I haven't achieved anything. But you tell me, if we look from the point of view of the world around us, when would be the right time to leave? People think that, oh, I'm too young, I haven't even gotten married, maybe after marriage. But after marriage, no, I need to have kids. But after kids, no, I want to see them grow up, go to college, so on and so forth. Maybe after that. But then, oh, I want to see them get married. Oh, maybe after that. But no, I want to see the grandkids. But oh, maybe after that. No, I want to see my grandkids grow too. Or maybe if I have gone to N number of vacations, or I have bought N number of cars, or N number of houses, I've amassed X amount of money, where is the end? So there is this constant feeling of inadequacy that doesn't allow us to get that feeling of fulfillment. If we live every moment truly with purpose, the higher purpose of why we are here, which we understand through the practice of Raj Yoga, that we're here to serve others. And if we serve others unconditionally, altruistically, with love, with kindness, with gratitude towards all that the universe has to share with us, we share that with others, then we will feel full, we'll feel complete, we'll feel whole, and then we can actually die voluntarily. Yeah, so just to summarize, if we do good to others, we will receive good. If we receive good, we will live happily. If we live happily, we will die happily. So my inspiration to everyone is do good in every moment. Don't waste even a moment in futile things. So-and-so said this, now I'm upset. And then many times we get upset for long periods of time. And during that time, we are not really enjoying life. And if death happens at that time, then we will definitely feel, that's not the right time. But if we have spent every moment of our lives doing good, enjoying life the way God wants us to enjoy life, then we will not be upset when death happens. Trusting the intelligence and the forces of the universe, the forces that have taken care of us so far, why will they not take care of us in the future? The forces, the intelligence that have taken care of my loved ones so far, why would they not take care of my loved ones in the future, whether I'm there with them or not? With this, I end, and I'll go back to these fear of death. My hope is that my presentation has helped us, each one of you, to be free from all these 6 types of fears. Fear of the pain, suffering during the actual process of death. I've clearly told you, no one has a painful death. There is nothing like a painful death. Fear of uncertainty of what lies after death. Now you know from the near-death experiences that after death, there's a beautiful new life. And during the process of death, during the transition too, there's such an amazing experience of God, of ecstasy, of seeing the light, and so on and so forth. The fear of leaving loved ones behind, yeah, the universal forces will take care of them. Fear of what will happen to me, yes, the universal forces will take care of me. Fear of not achieving anything substantial, well, do the best you can in every moment, use every moment in a worthwhile way, then you will never have that feeling that you didn't achieve enough. And fear of dying alone, you can never be alone. It has been seen through near-death experiences, those numerous experiences, that people say that immediately as they left their body, they found themselves enveloped by the love of God. So you always have God by your side. You can never be alone, whether you're living or dying. And that's what Raj Yoga teaches us. It helps us create a very beautiful, very meaningful connection and relationship with God. So as we're living, we are never alone. We always have God with us. As we're dying, we always have God with us. And that's why in Raj Yoga, we all try to do this practice, which we call as out-of-body experience. So, if say a basketball player has to go onto the court and play, there is a constant amount of, whole lot of practice that the basketball player would do, or a football player, or anything else. All of these players, they all practice a lot. And so think of it, if death is inevitable, wouldn't it be smart if we practice dying now? If we can master the art of dying, then when the actual death happens, we will die masterfully. And that's why this out-of-body experience, which we do in Raj Yoga. So if it is okay, we can just take a moment together, all of us, to have this out-of-body experience. I invite you to sit comfortably wherever you are. See yourself as a soul, a tiny point of light. Remind yourself that you're not the body that you see in the mirror every day, or the pictures that others take of you or you take of yourself. You're not that form. You are just light, the life force, the energy that is eternal, that's immortal, that's indestructible. Identify yourself with that light force, the life force, the energy rather than the body. And now see this life force, this light, leaving this body of yours. See yourself floating above your body. If there are other chairs in the room, see yourself sitting on that other chair right in front of you, or in the corner of the room, wherever it is. Your body is sitting where it is sitting, but you are sitting elsewhere. You're not this body. So even if this body withers away and dies, you can never die. You, the soul, will take another body and start afresh. And when you enter into the new body, there's newness. You'll have new places to see. You'll have new experiences to experience. You'll have new relatives, new loved ones to enjoy. You're a traveler. You're a guest in this world and in this body. You'll go from this body to the next, and the next, and to the next. Om Shanti. Sister Devki, back to you.
It's too amazing to imagine that you could cover all of this within an hour. Amazing, brother. And yes, definitely you were ever ready. And you made, I think everybody is leaving this presentation tonight smiling, not having fear any longer. I love the point where you say you change within 1 day, 432 billion cells. And at every 40 days, you have a new body. So you're actually dying every 40 days. So why is fear? Why is there fear of death when you're dying every 40 days? Your body is changing. And death is ultimate truth, but death is also ultimate lie because no one dies. I mean, I don't want to be repeating all that you said, but the fact that you say we don't create anything, not even our own body. So why do we have the fear of losing anything? That I'm leaving somebody behind, or somebody's leaving me behind, or I'm leaving my house and my property behind. I'm not leaving anything because I came empty-handed, I came alone, and I came naked, and that's how I will go. You made the practice of dying alive. If every 40 days we are actually going through the process of dying, then why do we create this monster fear in our mind about dying, when in fact we are doing that every 40 days? And the other beautiful point that you share was that death in itself is not painful. Life perhaps can be painful, but death in itself is not painful. And death makes people more consciously loving and peaceful. So whilst you are mourning the death of someone, they are gaining from that death because they've become a better being, a better soul. And so why not, whilst we are going to ultimately leave the body, why not have a higher purpose in life now, in this very moment? And the highest purpose is serving. I just love these so practical, so simple and practical points to help us to go through and conquer any fear that we ever entertain regarding the leaving of the body, the leaving of the costume. Brother Swetang, our hearts says thank you, thank you, thank you. You made our life, it's like lifting. I actually never had fear of death, but I know this presentation is intended for many individuals who may have had the thought of death. And so you've made lift a big burden off their shoulder tonight. So you are a blessed soul, a true server, a true child of God. You've become a stick for the blind. You've become what you say, a lighthouse guiding people into tomorrow with no fear, zero fear. And I'm sure if everyone gets a chance to tell how they feel about tonight's session, we'll be spending another hour or so, which we would not, we cannot afford. It's a working day and people made effort. More than 90 people showed up to listen to you. And we are definitely going to have you back with us to make sure you're prepared. But I do are a stalwart in what you share with us.
Thank you, Sister
Blessings.
Devi. Thank you, Sister
Blessings.
Devi. It was my honor. I just want to say one last thing as a parting comment that, there is fear because of ignorance. All fear, if you look at the core of fear, is ignorance. When you develop the insights as to why, what happens, like, for example, some people fear snakes because they don't know how snakes behave, but there are snake charmers and people who are able to take out the poison of the snakes. They know how snakes behave, and so they're not afraid of snakes. If we begin to also understand how life functions and how death happens, then we will also be able to conquer the fear of death. And again, when we conquer the fear of death, that's really conquering death. And that's what happened to me, Sister Devki, as I went deeper into the understanding of what the Brahma Kumaris teaches us, this whole body of knowledge, which again, I inspire all of you to connect with Sister Devki. If you haven't learned Raj Yoga meditation yet, and if you have done this, then go deeper and connect with Sister Devki and learn more and more so that you too can gain all the insights that are needed to conquer your fear of life and death.
So we have the recording. Anyone who wants a copy, if there's a way you can get hold of our number and call us or WhatsApp detail, then you can have access to the lecture, because we want you to have a copy of it and we want you to share it with your loved ones so that they also benefit from tonight's clear and practical yet simple understanding about the subject death. Om Shanti. And thank you, brother, on behalf of everyone who is with us tonight. And good night.
Thank you, sister. Good night to all of you.